And welcome. My name is Darren McDonald. I'm the Director of Safety Services here at Construction Safety Nova Scotia. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. A little bit about me, if you don't know, I'm just started my 30th year in the health and safety field. I'm a professional ergonomist by trade, worked all over North America with startups to Fortune 500 companies with the focus of improving health and safety in the workplace. And these days, I'm proud to be part of a team that supports safer workplaces right here at home in Nova Scotia. If you're not familiar with CSNS, we're an industry founded and funded non-for-profit dedicated to improving safety outcomes for the construction sector. So we roughly serve 6,000 member companies across the province, train close to 400,000 students, and help 100,000 firms achieve their certificate of recognition status. But we're not just about checklists and compliance. Our mission here is to build a strong safety culture in Nova Scotia, and that's exactly why we're here today. So this session is focused on the new harassment in the workplace regulations, which come into effect September 1st, 2025. These changes will impact workplaces across the province, and it's important for employers to understand what's required and how to prepare. So we're hosting this in collaboration with our colleagues at the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration, and we're fortunate enough to have two of their leaders here today from the OSH division. First is Eve Webster, Senior Director of Compliance and Inspection Services. Eve brings over 2 decades of experience from both private and public sectors, starting in their industry in management roles before moving into the technical safety division of labor, skills, and immigration. She's also a field inspector, project manager, joined the OSH division 2019 as a regional director and now serves as senior director since 2023. Also joining us is Fred Jeffers, the executive director of the Occupational Health and Safety Division. Fred began his career in the mechanical and construction sectors, working on for 18 years before moving into municipal government with the town of Bridgewater, and then later becoming provincial fire marshal for a number of years before moving into the safety branch. And so together, Eve and Fred will walk us through what's about to change, what supports are available, gives us a sneak peek of some of the resources coming soon, which will all be available at preventworkplaceharassment.ca. But before I hand it over, just a few housekeeping notes. Your mics and cameras are off, so you can sit back, relax, enjoy your lunch, this conversation. If you have a question, please pop it in the chat at any time. There will be a dedicated Q&A, 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session. And yes, the session is being recorded, and resources will be shared with you after the session. So huge thank you to Eve, Fred, and LSI for being here today, supporting employers through these changes. So let's get started. And Eve, over to you.
Thank you so much, Darren. And thank you so much for inviting us to participate in this webinar. It's a beautiful summer's day, and it's great to see that there's so much interest in the upcoming Preventing Harassment in the Workplace regulation. So, as you know, every worker in Nova Scotia has the right to a healthy and safe workplace, free from harassment. We all know that employees are more engaged and productive, while employers experience reduced absenteeism and they have improved morale with a stronger safety workplace culture. I'm going to run through a little preview about the upcoming regulations, what employers and employees can do to prepare, as well as some of the resources that are currently available and that will be available for everyone to use. As a note, there are a number of QR codes embedded in this presentation, so you may want to have your mobile device ready to go to catch those QR codes as well. Also happy to share this presentation after if that's easier. This timeline shows the story of when psychological health and safety legislation was implemented across Canada. As you can see, Nova Scotia is the last jurisdiction to have something in place. This has presented us with a unique opportunity, an opportunity to learn from others. We have spent considerable time over the past few years engaging with other provinces and territories. asking them what has gone well, what has not gone well, what challenges have they faced, and what would they change if they could go back in time. This valuable feedback has been used to help create the regulations for Nova Scotians. As you should know or likely know, the Occupational Health and Safety Division is responsible for the Nova Scotia's OSH Act and regulations. Psychological health and safety plays a key role in the overall health and safety of workplaces. In 2023, Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration, LSI, engaged with Nova Scotians to seek input on how to address psychological health and safety in the workplace. From that engagement, we created a What We Heard report, which highlighted key themes from the engagement. A key theme of this report described a need for clearer rules and guidance related to harassment from government. In September 2024, government passed in the Nova Scotia Legislature Bill 464, Stronger Workplaces for Nova Scotia Act, to strengthen workplace protections to build psychologically healthier and safer workplaces. Changes to the OSH Act recognizes health and safety as both physical and psychological, gives government ability to create regulations related to harassment in the workplace, and requires all provincially regulated employers to create and implement a written harassment prevention policy that applies to their workplaces. For more information related to the Stronger Workplaces for Nova Scotia Act, a guide has been published to help employers and employees understand how these new requirements affect them. All these guides that I'm talking about and reports, I'll describe later on how you can access them easily. This past spring, the Nova Scotia Occupational Health and Safety Division of the Safety Branch sought feedback on the key components of the proposed harassment in the workplace regulations. This call for comment took place between April 24th and May 16th. There was two components to it. There was a survey. Nova Scotians were invited to review these key components and submit any feedback they had. These comments help support the development of the regulations that will provide guidance to workplaces when preventing and addressing harassment in the workplace. There was also a number of webinars offered during this time frame to discuss the upcoming regulations and provide an opportunity for discussion around the key components. These were the results of the participation from the call for comment surveys and webinars. Perhaps, and hopefully, some of you participated. Presentations like the one today have been occurring since the beginning of 2025. Here are some examples of who have participated in these. You may have attended one of these already. As things progress with the regulation and the resources and tools that we're creating, we've been updating the webinars and the presentations. So hopefully if you have already participated in one of these, there'll be some new and updated information for you today. We have created a one-stop shop for Nova Scotians for this new regulation. The QR code on the screen will take you directly to our website, which is preventworkplaceharassment.ca. As updates occur or new tools or resources are developed, they will all be put on this site. As you can see, we have a lot of people already viewing and using this site. It's a great resource. And of course, we would love any feedback that you may have. There has been an awareness campaign underway since the spring. Hopefully you have seen some of this already. The spring phase was really all about employees having the right to a safe workplace free from harassment. There's going to be a new phase to the awareness campaign in the fall. The colors are going to change from that blue to a more orange, more alert type color, to talk about safety goes beyond, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. So safety goes beyond headgear. Safety goes beyond fall protection. There's going to be lots of great posters and resources available for you to download or that we can offer to you that you can post in your workplaces to try to promote awareness around this new regulation. Sorry, before we move on to that, we've also created a YouTube video that's going to start automatically that also can be used as a resource in your workplace for education. I'm going to play that right now.
Safety goes beyond headgear. Just as it protects your head from falling debris, recent changes were made to the Occupational Health and Safety Act to protect you from harassment in the workplace. But there's more to it than just headgear.
Like gloves to protect your hands from cuts and chemicals, the Act protects your right to handle workplace concerns safely. But what about when you need to be heard or seen?
Reflective clothing make you visible in low light conditions. The Act provides a solid foundation for a respectful workplace. Everyone in Nova Scotia deserves a workplace where they feel seen and heard.
As of September 1st, the Occupational Health and Safety Act will be updated to provide stronger protection for workers. These changes aren't just about physical safety measures, they're about respect and support.
Learn more at novascotia.ca/prevent workplace harassment.
Now the big question, what can you do to prepare for September 1st? So for employers in particular, we know that most workplaces already have policies around harassment in the workplace. Most of those policies probably sit with HR currently. The big shift now is this is now considered an occupational health and safety hazard in the workplace. So are employees currently trained on any policies that you have in place? Do employees understand what harassment is and what they can do if they witness or experience it? As with other safety complaints, having clear guidance and procedures is important to ensure that harassment complaints are dealt with a consistent, fair, and effective manner. This increases worker confidence that harassment complaints will be handled in an appropriate way. The newly developed guide that's going to be released very soon for employers provides some guidance for this as well. Having a safe reporting process is important to ensure employees feel comfortable and safe when reporting harassment. So you could start creating a timeline or checklist to update your safety management system before the harassment regulations take place on September 1st. For employees, understanding your rights is imperative. If you need any help with that, you can call our 1-800 number, of course, or email us for any assistance or questions you may have. Also for employees, as an employee, it's important that you are familiar with your employer's harassment policy. Workplace health and safety concerns should follow the internal responsibility system first. This includes raising your concerns with your direct supervisor or management team, the workplace health and safety representative, or joint occupational health and safety committee, or through your workers' union where applicable. As always, you're trying to support a respectful workplace, being aware of your actions and behaviors, treating coworkers with respect, speaking up against inappropriate behavior, and support colleagues affected by harassment is all key to creating a safe workplace culture. As an employee also, you can document and seek support. If you experience or witness harassment, document the incident with details. Seek support from employee assistance programs if they're available, counseling services, legal guidance if needed. You can refer to the Safety Branch website, Labor Standards Division, or Human Rights Commission for additional services as well. Excuse me. You can also visit novasafe.ca to learn more about harassment. The next slide is going to talk a little bit more about NovaSafe if you're not currently aware. But the other thing, there's another QR code here, and that is to join the Safety Branch contact list so you can stay informed about workplace and technical safety, including when engagements and regulations are announced through email. I'll give you a second in case you wanted to sign up on our contact list if you're not currently signed up. So this next slide is going to launch right into a video about NovaSafe. There's also a QR code, It'll download like a tile on your phone, so like an app. It's a wonderful resource to have at your fingertips at all times.
Every employee in Nova Scotia has the right to a safe and healthy workplace environment. To learn about resources that can help you and your team, use NovaSafe. Safety information made simple. A message from the Government of Nova Scotia.
So here are some of the documents that I've already referred to in this presentation. Our Act, of course, but also the report on how does the Stronger Workplaces for Nova Scotia Act affect you, and also the What We Heard Engagement on Preventing Workplace Harassment report. Those reports are all available on the Prevent Workplace Harassment website as well. It really is a one-stop shop. And as I mentioned previously, if you ever are thinking that there's something missing there or it'd be helpful to have something else, please reach out and let us know. We want to make sure it's meeting your needs. So as a safety branch, what's our next steps? So it's to continuously update that website content and roll out phase 2 of that fall marketing campaign. The regulations are expected to become available in August, accompanied by an employer guide with supporting templates and new resources. The harassment in the workplace regulations come into effect on September 1st, 2025, and we're exploring and developing all kinds of psychological health and safety learning resources. It's also important to note that in September, all OSH officers will be incorporating this new regulation into both proactive and reactive inspection work. Officers will be looking for compliance with the regulations and will be equipped with educational resources to help employers and employees as well through this process. So these are some of the great new resources that are going to be available. The guide for employers, I think it's going to be really helpful for most employers. It's going to really help you figure out exactly what you need to do to be in compliance with the regulations. And as mentioned before, there's templates embedded in it. There's checklists to make sure you're on track with compliance, all kinds of tools. There's going to be posters that you can download and put up in your workplace. There's going to be toolbox talks, fillable tracking forms, all kinds of great stuff, resources for you to use within your workplace. So now it's your turn to ask us questions. Anything that requires clarity, any questions you may have, we are here to answer you. Fred and I are both here as resources and hopefully can answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Eve. So if you are having a hard time navigating, there's the chat and the Q&A tab. So if you go to the Q&A tab, you'll be able to put in. We did have some that came in while the presentation was going. So will the department mandate specific training requirements for workers, supervisors, and Josh under these new regs?
So the training requirements will be outlined in the new regulation, and the training requirements will be around what harassment is, what their workplace policy is. So yes, there will be training requirements that employers are required to provide.
Thank you. And while you're there typing in your questions, I do have one other. What role is the Josh expected to play in supporting the employer's harassment prevention program under the new regulations?
Okay, so the Josh committee or the safety representative, just depending on the size of your organization, can certainly participate in investigations to address workplace health and safety issues and complaints received, as with any health and safety complaint, participate in inspections, inquiries, and investigations about the occupational health and safety of employees, participate in workplace inspections involving OSH officers, advise and make any recommendations to the employer on the workplace health and safety program or policy. So members of the JOSH committee that may be selected to participate in harassment investigations should be chosen with careful consideration in order to ensure fairness and confidentiality. That would be our advice to employees.
Thank you. And thank you folks for submitting some questions here. We have one that asks, the definition of harassment in the Act differs from the human rights definition. So which definition should be used in an employer's policy? Is there one that maybe supersedes the other?
Fred, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, these regulations are written under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And you'll see when the new regulation comes out, there is a very specific definition in that part right in the regulation. And of course, from our perspective, from a compliance perspective, that is the definition that that you need to consider when you're looking at compliance with our regulations. Now, saying that, I think it's important we work very closely. As you may know, the Workers' Compensation Board recently brought in some legislation around gradual psychological injury, and there was a definition. They had a definition about around harassment and bullying, and we did work closely with them to try to. I mean, it's very, very close. It's almost identical. We worked very closely, and we also engaged with actually human rights and some of our other partners across government when we look at our definition, just to make sure that they were comfortable with it and it sort of fit into their ideas. So even though it may read a little differently, I think you'll find that for the purposes of workplace health and safety, we're hoping it makes sense. We're very comfortable with it, and it lines up well too with what we've seen across Canada and other jurisdictions.
Great, thanks. And there's a question to come in, kind of tags on to that. So you mentioned the draft regulations. So question was, when might they be available for folks to have a preview so they can get ready for September 1?
Without letting anything out of the bag, I would say extremely soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very shortly. It's all the prep work's
answer
underway. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for answering that. Okay, I don't see any other questions. This is your chance. We have some folks here with some deep expertise, so please submit your question. Oh no, hold on. Let me just see. Oh, I do have some more. They're coming in. Just
While you're reading through your questions, I'll just take a minute to make a comment too with this group particularly, but just wanted to say that, we're really quite pleased to see all the work that construction has done in this space as well in the last couple of years. Like, it's really been encouraging for us knowing that these regulations were coming and we were doing a lot of work in the space, that to know that this sector has really done a great amount of work in this. Like, it's made this very, I don't want to say it's been easy because it has been easy, but it's made this work very impactful to know that a lot of businesses, a lot of sectors are already on this and have identified this as something they want to do something about. And we're happy that work has taken place. So kudos to you and your sector in this industry for that.
Thank you. All right, so I have some helping assistants here to pull out some more questions. So we have guidelines on harassment and safety manuals. This question came in. Will we need to update them? And if so, should all employees sign off on the? So if someone's already taken the proactive approach and got these in place, they'll probably need to be updated, I would assume. So what's your take on that?
We take that one? When we take that one?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sure. No, the intent here is not for folks to reinvent the wheel. If you've got existing policies in place now, I would suggest that, from a bit of a legal perspective, we're looking to see a policy, and we talk about policies in the acts and regulations. So they carry a little more strength than a guideline. So that needs to be in the form of a policy. But saying that, if the meat and potatoes of the guideline that you have are something that can be adapted in a policy right away, and you can use it and it fulfills the sort of the regulatory requirements, then you're good to go. We don't expect people to rewrite the whole thing. I know I've looked at a number of existing policies that companies have in place now, and I'll be honest with you, most of the ones I've looked at they meet the mark. They would have to make very few changes to them to be compliant. In a lot of cases, they exceed the minimum requirements of what we'll see in the regulations. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think even just to tag on to that, Fred, the guide for employers that has been developed will be very helpful in being able to assess anything that you currently have in place with what the requirements are. It makes it very, very simple.
Okay, they're coming in fast and furious now. Will there be a grace period where the regulation available yet? Yes, implementation phase.
So the idea is that the regulations come into effect on September 1st. However, that being said, occupational health and safety officers, yes, will be out there looking for compliance, but taking a very educational approach in the first while.
Thank you, Eve. Another question around mandatory annual requirement for employees to review violence in the workplace and harassment policies. Those are a time-bound component to it.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that, Darren.
Oh, sorry. Just wondering if there's an annual requirement for employees to review the violence and harassment policy.
No.
There's a requirement in the regulation
Yeah.
for a regular review.
Yes.
Without laying the cat out of the bag on how much it is. There is a requirement in there for regular review. It's outlined in the regulations. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Another question, what evidence or practices should employers have in place to demonstrate that their harassment policy is more than just a document and it's actually being followed?
Training records for sure. When OSH officers are out talking to employees, often they get a very good understanding of how well the program has or the policy has been implemented in the workplace and how employees understand it. So really having those open conversations. The Toolbox Talks tool that's being developed, like please utilize these resources in your workplace. But certainly documenting anytime you discuss it, anytime you're giving training is definitely very helpful.
And I think I would add to that along those same lines, one of the things we really want this to become is just another cornerstone of your occupational health and safety program. It's not different. It's another risk. It's another head that's in your workplace. So I would say, how do you, what are you doing now at your workplace to reinforce those those safety practices that are critical to your operation? And if you're in a roofing contractor, how are you ensuring that your staff are continuously following your fall prevention plan? How do you do that? Well, this is the same. This would be the same way. Utilize those same tools as Eve mentioned, your toolbox talks and your documentation on any of that work that you do or training, and make it a regular part of the conversation. So that folks are thinking about it. It's not something that they're thinking about once a year. They're thinking about it every day.
Great. Thanks, Fred. And I think Eve, you covered this, but I'll ask the question again. Are there sample policies in the employer guide?
Yes, there's actually a template. So you'll be able to just really fill it in to suit your workplace while ensuring that all the regulatory requirements are met.
Great. Thank you. Here's another question. So you mentioned restricting to who on the JOSH can participate in an investigation. What about the review of the final investigation report?
I think it's really going to depend on the employer to figure out what's going to work for them in their workplace. you know, while the main focus being on protecting the employee who has experienced harassment and the outcomes of that investigation.
Thank you. Uh, Shout out to Stephen Sohn for answering a question there that Mackenzie had posted. Thank you very much, Steve. Let's see. Being new to the HR and safety world, sorry, more than the question. This information is so helpful, so thank you. And I think that's something we've observed too. There is this coming together of the HR space and the occupational health and safety space to manage, exactly what you just talked about, Eve, that investigation component. Like there's some set of issues there that definitely need to have that balance. So great.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, and as employers are kind of figuring out what the investigation process looks like or could look like for their workplace, HR may be the resource where you want issues reported to. Like it's really up to how your organization is structured and how you best feel you can protect your employees.
That's right. And I think the thing we have to remember with this particular hazard is, unlike what we're used to dealing with, physical hazards that can be mitigated, oftentimes with safeguards or procedures or so on. This one's really all about behavior. And it's not something that you can put on a piece of PPE necessarily, or put up a guard to protect people from. It's all about behavior. So I think folks are going to find that the corrective action in some cases, as Eve just alluded to, is that's where it's going to lean over into your personnel and HR world, because that's, particularly if it's a situation where it's harassment between two employees internally, that's going to be one of your resources to sort of address it. And I remind folks too that this doesn't just apply to harassment within the workplace internally. It also would impact any risk of harassment from external sources. So when we think about, perhaps a retail environment or a service environment where clients or customers are coming in, and there's an obligation there to put some processes in place to protect employees as much as you can, or to minimize the impact if harassment occurs to them. What can you do? And so that's just another slant on this that we have to sort of keep in mind as well.
Thank you. There's another question around submittals to government bodies for compliance. Is that on an as only needed basis? So I assume that will come out in the regulations.
Yeah, so compliance will be achieved through inspection activity by OSH officers.
So no report, I guess the question leads to say, would there be a reporting component, perhaps? Like a proactive component, maybe? I don't know. Or is there something that would trigger? And I'm probably getting ahead of ourselves because we have to see the regs before that, right? So I don't want to assume anything.
But we can answer that, I think, can't we, Eve? I mean,
yes.
No, there isn't.
No.
It's not. It's as Eve said, compliance will be verified through inspection activities.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna sneak. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I've seen come in, unless my team has others. I think we're good. If there are any other questions outstanding, please feel free to reach out. And we will have resources available. If there's any questions that come in, we can chat with our partners at LSI and get back to folks. But just wanted to say thank you again for a wonderful discussion, questions, presentation. Looking forward to see how this rolls out to the province.
Excellent. Happy to answer any questions, and the questions that came in were great. So thank you very much for all who participated today.